Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome all of you back to another international reaction video today, ladies and gentlemen. Where today, ladies and gentlemen, we travel to landlocked Africa, specifically to the nation of Chad. And as you can see here, it sort of stands as something of a bit of like a crossroads between basically all of Northern Africa, because just to name some of the countries that it's surrounded by: Libya, Egypt, Sudan, the Central African Republic, Cameroon, Nigeria, and Niger. And I don't technically know what this if this is meant to be. It's Lake Chad. Okay, so that's technically well, it would make sense. Roundabout, we're talking this part of Africa as well. Also, huge things you probably might need to know is that this is advised against all travel and advised against all but essential. Well, I suppose this is probably more to do with the pandemic, which is kind of strange how after so many years it still has yet to be updated. And again, it's sort of one of those nations where outside of things like this, I'm not necessarily sure about if there's an incredible amount I actually can say about this nation of Chad. So I think the best way to do is consult the wiki. So again, whether any of these things are 100% true is going to be another point entirely, but I think for what they are worth, it should be interesting nonetheless. So Chad has several regions: a desert zone in the north, an arid Saharan belt in the centre. That's a really nice palace they've got there. Or it could be possibly be a temple of some description. But it looks literally like it just was carved out of sand, really. Belt in the centre, and a more fertile Sudanian savanna zone in the south. Lake Chad, after which the country is named, is the second largest wetland in Africa. Chad's official language are both Arabic and French. It is home to over 200 different ethnic and linguistic groups, with Islam making 55.1% and Christianity making 41.1%, and the main religions practiced in Chad. So it really is absolutely like a dual nationality nation, both Islam, Christianity, and the lingua franca being both French and Arabic. I don't necessarily know 100%, because what's interesting is that do you often suspect that whenever you have countries that sort of like have two national languages, that outbreaks of fighting will break out over this sort of thing? Well, technically you would get this sort of thing almost anywhere, but whether it's an entire nation that sort of both are so intertwined into each other, it would be a very interesting aspect to go into. But again, we'll just do a bit of its earlier history. So we're talking as far as the 7th millennium BC. Ecological conditions in the northern half of Tchadienne territory favoured human settlement, and its population increased considerably. Some of the most important African archaeological sites are found in Chad, mainly in the Boko Enede Tibesti region. Some date to earlier than 2000 BC. For more than 2,000 years, the Tchadienne basin has been inhabited by agricultural and sedentary people. The region became a crossroads for civilizations, and the earliest of these was the legendary Sao, known for the artifacts and oral histories. The Sao fell to the Canaan Empire, and the first and longest lasting of the empires that developed in Chad's Sahelian strip of the end of the 1st millennium AD. Two other states in the region, the Sonate of Bagami and the Wadian Empire, emerged in both the 16th and 17th centuries. The power of Canaan and its successors were based on the control of the trans-Saharan trade routes that passed through the region. These states, at least tactically Muslim, never extended their control to the southern grasslands except to raid for slaves. In Canaan, about a third of the population were slaves. So it was almost. I know there's a lot of things that certainly do go out about that. about the ideas of like Chad and well, certainly mostly Africa, about where the first man was said to have evolved and sort of originated. I'm almost possibly suspecting, if you want to get almost like a clear indication perhaps of maybe the origins of the first man, I wonder if it was sort of just south of Chad. Maybe it was in the Central African Republic. Because suddenly something that seems just interesting, taking a look at the history of Chad in this light, is that it may be seen as the very first civilization that ever came to be, and as a result, maybe it's something that, as of course humanity expanded and explored beyond its boundaries, it could be something that many took upon their own, and some, even like the Roman Republic, took this and went literally as far as you could. But then again, also Carthage could be like possibly the earliest example of this as well, because Carthage established itself as a republic and a vast trading network long before the Romans. But again, one of the things I'd absolutely would love to do is that when it comes to like doing the translation for this video, it would be interesting to see whether or not if I translated, I could probably translate to both French and Arabic, just because kind of the same thing I did for Belgium's national anthem, because it's technically two different languages that comprise the population. It would make sense that it would be sort of like almost rude not to. So let's get started, shall we? So if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, the links will all be in the description down below. So please rise, ladies and gentlemen, for the national anthem of Chad. In 3, 2, 1.
Tchadienne, debout et à l'ouvrage, tu as conquis ta terre et ton droit, ta liberté naîtra de ton courage. Lève les yeux, l'avenir est à toi.
Unite, travel and progress. I like that, ladies and gentlemen. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That was Le Tchadienne, the national anthem of Chad. It's sort of interesting that, again, sort of almost deriving to almost the basic things regarding this video is the fact that Chad certainly looks like a nation that it's again, just like they said in the beginning, it's all like spread into 3 separate states, a state that almost comprises of spectacular desert scenery, an industrious and certainly looks like almost a very prosperous sort of nation as well, just from again shots throughout its capital city. But then I'm also considering the fact that even maybe towards the again, there's something also. I don't know if it's just because they may have mentioned about it's what was it like a. Oh, hang on a minute! I've just literally found something as well, and this doesn't look good, unfortunately. Apparently, something I sort of overlooked a little bit is the fact that it said Chad ranks the second lowest in Human Development Index with a 0.394 in 2021 and placed 190th and a least developed country, facing the effects of being one of the poorest and most corrupt countries in the world. Most of its inhabitants live in poverty as subsistence herders and farmers. Since 2003, crude oil has become the country's primary source of export earnings, superseding the traditional cotton industry. And Chad has a poor human rights record, with frequent abuses such as arbitrary imprisonment, extrajudicial killings, and limits on civil liberties by both security forces and armed militias. So, maybe not particularly the safest country to visit either, but it's sort of almost one of those things where just reading that probably doesn't even begin to go over like the full story, because reading that is, appalling in itself. But then I'm also considering the idea about maybe, again, something like its national anthem could be flattering to deceive, to allure to the idea that if we make sure people understand about what our country is supposed to mean, then people would believe it. It's a useful piece of propaganda nonetheless, but when you read stuff like that, it's appalling to say the least. And then, of course, you got things like its first civil war in the late 70s to the dictatorship of Habre. And then, yeah, what's, yeah? One second. Yeah, the radio.
No, there's a spray of
Right.
mold and mildew under the sink. What?
So, just one thing I just kind of like wanted to go over just very quickly, just before we end, is that when it sort of comes to things like doing the translation for this video, I sort of almost want to go into this a little bit more, but something that also kind of I'm not too entirely sure now what to think. Well, apart from that just it sounds like. It doesn't sound like things are necessarily very safe, but then when you got things like crude oil and you have such a huge range of things to sell to the Western world, which are such of high value, then money, it always leads to trouble, that sort of thing. But we'll go into this a little bit more when the time comes. So make sure to check that out for what that's worth, indeed. So anyway, I hope all of you guys have enjoyed this reaction video to Le Tchadienne, the national anthem of Chad. Please make sure to leave all your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys felt of Le Tchadienne for yourselves, and I cannot wait to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye for now.